start messaging people.
Oh, Twitch. You silly bitch. I guess I didn't realize you had crazy 90s hair.
Me?
No, Saren over here.
Oh, okay.
Crazy
Look like
90s hair.
yeah, you look like you're out of that old like Rising Star comic where everybody has
Oh, you
long,
mean like
pale
the
hair.
the
Yeah.
the picture of Sry looks like he's like straight out of Steel Panther.
Yes, yes. That's what I mean.
Fuck. Great, now I can't use it anymore.
He looks like he's in like an 80s hair metal band.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, that's kind of rad, though.
Yeah. Like smoking in the boys' room, you know?
Right? Oh, man. Great.
It's all good. It's all
Let's
I don't know.
retire value.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Sandman, if I'm being honest.
It does have a Sandman quality to it, which also has that like comic book 90s long hair situation. I love Sandman. God, what a good book. Books. But
All right.
my glasses would help reading anything. Don't tell anyone I can wear glasses. They'll know I'm a nerd. Let's see.
Who is that talking? I've got names all over everything, man. You got to know that who's talking. They've got names there.
Yeah, which person talking? Because we were kind of rip shitting on each other for a second there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You told me that. He's driving, so he's just listening.
Oh, so he has no idea.
That's Razani, and this is Eric's, and then the other male voice is Srying.
Oh, hold on. Oh, okay.
Pull that up.
Sorry, I didn't realize that that we had already gone live right now.
Yes, you did. I just told you like 3 minutes ago. Nerd.
I was like in the middle of doing something else, but all right,
Okay.
we're all good.
You were in your Zen place.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah, Alayla, so like that's the image he gave me that he wanted to use, and it was in black and white by default. So I actually put a black and white filter over the black and white image, and that's how I'm using the two contrasting, lit up images or whatever.
Unfortunately, I don't have any more recent character art.
I also just assumed that you show up in game in grayscale.
I mean that's not a bad idea. I mean, that's like the edgiest of the edge.
It is.
That would be a good nickname for you, Grayscale.
You need new art with your contraband nipple rings.
Yes, I do.
God, what a weird ruling.
All right. Well, we've got about a minute until it's been about 5 minutes. So,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
That'll be 3:30 anyway. So, yeah, I'll give that one more minute, and then I'll get into the emails that I've gotten, which are also on the doc that contains the original letter. I know some people had after the fact requested edits that were adding their name to the list. I appreciate that. That the list wasn't updated for Matt or Jeremy, but they've clearly gotten the message that something needs to change and that we're demanding it. Ugh.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
All
Um.
right. So, my overlay updated. It says we have about 16 viewers currently. If you guys want to get into it.
Sure. Um. First and foremost, I assume everybody that's here knows that we sent out this letter. We had been waiting for replies from Jeremy, who uh, finally got back to me this morning, and then we'll go over what that actually entailed. His he again stated that he was quite pleased to see that uh, you know, we as a whole, as a group, care about the future of Atolia. He had sort of, and I know an ongoing issue in terms of interacting with Jeremy has been the feeling that he didn't see our concerns as valid. And in this email, he in fact admits that the concerns that we have about our game are valid, and that he wants to address them. He gave me the estimate of a couple of days of meeting with the Atolia team to come to a solution. Um, so imagine my surprise when about, I want to say maybe half an hour later, we have the announce post that everybody has read. That I won't go into reading the entirety of it,
I
but you
pulled
can
it
put
up.
there. Perfect. That Tior was let go. Now I want to say outright that I've got nothing against Tior. I don't think anybody here does. I just think he wasn't a great fit for Atolia. But this is not the. It wasn't the solution that I had been anticipating.
Yeah, me either.
Um, so with there were a couple of back and forths between me. I wanted to make sure that we as a unit seemed very thankful that they were working on it, just making sure that it was more of a professional exchange rather than like a customer I mean, it is a customer complaint, but when they feel like we're addressing them like we're on equal footing, because we should be, um then it seems like it went a little bit better than it might have had we sort of gone at it with a different tone. Um, so to me, Tior's removal was not the intent of the letter. If it had been, I would have just said it plainly. I don't think there's any need to dilly dally around that sort of thing.
Right.
Um, so if that had been the intent of the letter, I would have just said so. But the intent of the letter had been, and in my mind still continues to be, about a paid writer, which is not something that we got, but we have gotten sort of the promise of different priorities in terms of Atolia's management.
Yeah, and like like I kind of mirror the same thing you said. I didn't think they were gonna like just straight up fire Tier. Like obviously this puts us in a situation to have a bright outlook for the future. There's a lot more interest. People are coming over into our Discord already from IKEA and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I think Tier could have done better and could have addressed what we needed to be addressed. Like he could have done it because like I feel like that first year he was doing stuff nonstop. I wasn't here for most of the first year, but I went back and read the timeline of all the stuff that got done, and it always seemed odd to me that like the second year or whatever, just like nothing was happening.
I think it's important to sort of the important thing to know is that for the first year of Tior being here, to my recollection, it wasn't just Tior. We also had the interim producer that stayed on to help Tior get his ground.
Mm.
Um, I cannot remember. Orlay maybe.
Olace, yeah.
Olay, yes.
His name was
Uh,
Riley, I believe. Yep,
Olay stayed on for a while after Tior was hired.
yeah,
And I think that had a drastic impact on the way that the game was being run. Obviously, it did because, as you said, there just seemed to be some drop off after the once year two rolled around. There just seemed to be some drastic shift
yeah.
in the narrative. And what was getting done. I I'll be honest in saying that in one of this is again a letter that is a reply to us that is on the doc for anybody to read. I've always wanted to make sure that this was transparent so that you guys knew that I wasn't misrepresenting you. And he was very quick to point out to me, I think out of some concern that I might feel bad that Tior got fired. Um, it was he wanted to point out that the letter was not the reason that they let Tior go, but it was the reason that they understood it was the correct choice to make. So all of the complaints that people have made about Tior and about the way the game is going, for whatever reason, for the years that it's been happening, it took this to sort of tip the scale.
Mhm.
And I assume it has to do with the sheer volume of people we had. We have
Right.
something like 50 some odd signatures on that letter. When your player base is at most, at peak at any one time, I've seen like 68 players. When you have 50 of them signing something,
Right.
that you can't ignore anymore because it's money at the end of the day. Like, we would like to be seen more as players as opposed to just cash, but we're seen as just the possibility of money for a company. And 50 people saying, you know what, you're not getting my money anymore is too big to ignore.
That's also like 50 people within a 12-hour period, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
it was very short.
so because we didn't get all the people that we all know someone that isn't playing anymore, etc. And
Yeah.
didn't get all of them either. Again, not to like dunk on anyone. It's just like I know that we've probably lost people over the last couple years over a lot of this stuff, and I genuinely hope we do see people come back because like I think it's also good in general to take breaks from time to time. I did take a break for like 9 months recently, so you come back,
Yeah.
things are changing, it can be fun again.
I mean, I've
You're
only been back for about a year, and I think that I don't know. I didn't really quite get the whole uh, I don't know, the whole all the problems like behind tier because I mean, after being gone for 10 years, I mean, there were so many like, different like quality of life, changes that I was like, oh man, this is great. I don't know if maybe specifically all these changes happen under tier's watch, but I definitely enjoyed them. And I think it was almost kind of like looking at Atolia through like rose colored lenses because, I was just kind of like I mean, I had a housing like issue, like moving my house that from Spines Reach that apparently got yeeted into the void after like they did some like layout change of Spines Reach. And then I emailed Tier to get it moved to Enorian, and then like about a week went by, and I like emailed Razmael, and it like got handled like almost instantly. So I was like, oh, cool, like at least somebody's handling it, so it didn't seem like a big problem. But over the last year, like I've seen like just these problems like continue to grow and grow and grow, and I kind of see it like based on like either from responses on the official Atolia Discord or lack of responses on the Discord or the responses on forums are kind of like non-answers, just like kind of meant to like like placate the player base
Mhm.
without actually doing anything. So, like, I definitely agree. Like the too long, didn't read, version of this is that he's probably like a nice guy, but like at the end of the day, like this is a business, and if you're not doing your job to like keep your customers happy or to just do your job in general, and you keep getting like more and more complaints despite having ample opportunities to try and turn that type of behavior around, like I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like you should have like seen the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I will say this, the strangest thing, I had a few people who I talked to outside of Itolia, a couple of them who don't play anymore but used to, uh mention the I mean, I'll just come out and say it, the amount of nuts it takes, I guess, to post something like this letter in the Itolia official Discord. Now, the strangest thing to me about this whole situation was that at no point did Tior reach out to me to talk?
Mhm.
And I had expected at some point he might. And I sort of saw it as, okay, so I didn't expect to get any answer really from Matt or Jeremy beyond thanks for your input. We'll consider it. So the fact that anything got done was bewildering to me. However, I will say I did expect for it to become a reach out moment for Tior. I expected that he would reach out, that we could discuss this, because we would often get the line of, well, we're making a bunch of money, so other people must be happy. And I was hoping that this would be the opportunity to be like, look, no, I'm showing you your player base isn't happy. But I honestly just think that um, you know, I just think that this wasn't an environment that Cure was anticipating. I think that it just wound up being a little bit too much for him, and that's fine. But it doesn't become it's not it's an explanation, but not an excuse. Um, you know, one of those things where it's like it absolutely makes sense that you were having this problem. Yes, it very much to Callie. I hoped it was an intervention moment, kind of.
Right. Me
I hope
too.
that
Like that's how I felt too, honestly. Yeah.
I hope that we'd be able to sit there and talk with him. That he would understand. I hoped that it meant that he would even put his name on it as like I, the producer of this game, the one you pay me to produce it, think that we would benefit from a full time paid writer. Because I still think that's something Atolia needs. I'm very much looking forward um to everything that's coming up. I think that no matter what, even if this isn't a paid writer, we have shown that we as a group can change something about the game that we engage with. And I want to thank everybody who signed it. I know that some people signed it feeling that there were bigger issues than no storytelling. I know that some people signed it with the anticipation that it would go ignored and then they would feel like idiots for signing it. But I want to thank people who signed it because as much as I'm the one that's having these talks with Jeremy or Matt, it's not just me behind the if it was just me behind the email address, they would not give a single shit what I had to say. It's the fact that it is 52, 53 of us that are behind this letter that actually got anything done at all. And we did get something done. Regardless of whether or not it wasn't what we wanted a writing lead. There are some people who would see this as a better outcome. I don't know if that's the case yet. We'll see. But
Yeah.
like you said, Eric's the fact that we have people jumping ship from Achaia to follow this producer kind of gives me a good feeling. Kind of gives me hope that this is going to be very, very good for us in the long run.
Yeah. It's a good step, and you said earlier that you partly didn't even expect to get like very much of a response from Matt or Jeremy. And I think it stands the reason that it's a good thing they did respond, and that they did care enough to do something about this. Because like when we go for like 2 years now with it seeming like things are not much is happening, it becomes very easy to be like, oh, they're not going to respond. But to their credit, they did, and they did something, and we will certainly see if it bears fruit. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great way to go into the last half of the year here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's a shame that we're at a point that this had to happen, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. But it, I think sometimes things just need to be done. I am excited to see what he does. I'm also excited to see what this switch from focusing on promos means because it seems like it was constant. Promos would be late, there'd be nothing but things to drop your money on. Things got more and more expensive as we played.
Hmm.
I remember back when you used to be able to buy like 5 skull tokens for like $4.99, and now one costs you like $15.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that I'm interested to see if they decide to take a look at every policy that was ever put in place and try and figure out where it goes, and what they can change and what they could do better. I am not going to miss, looking at an announced post, hoping that something about an event and
Right.
seeing that 5 more mini pets just got dropped. Like, I
Yeah.
know people like collecting them, but, like, at a certain point, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, you gotta give me
Right.
something.
Where's the other content, like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
important
I mean,
content?
I know that was definitely my hesitation because I mean, I definitely needed like salvage, like, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
I was really hoping to to get some pieces, but I just couldn't justify dropping $230 off like the 7 pieces that I need when there's like nothing going on in terms of like global events. So it's like and I think that we briefly touched upon this on like a couple episodes prior that like the player base that they don't want to spend money until they know exactly like what are you paying this person's salary for if you're not getting anything out of it other than just
Right.
mini pets and and like daily milestones and stuff like that. Like that's if you wanted to play a game like that where you can just log in and just do dailies and whatever, like I don't know, shit, I'd go play AFK Arena like on my phone.
Right.
At least that has graphics. So
Yeah, it's like I've said before on the forums and many other places, it's like, impress me, make me want to spend money on your game and not the other way around, like, just
right. And I mean, and I think that it's worth noting that the Atolian player base, uh, we're very we have very high standards. And not so much that we're not willing to give people a chance. It's just that and I mentioned this earlier, on a clan in Atolia, that you have the players who have been playing Atolia for 5, 10, 15 plus years. Like some of us have been playing since we were like kids in high school,
yep.
and we keep coming back for some reason. And it's because we want this game to be something that it could we want it to be the best that it possibly could be. And when we feel that somebody's not putting in as much effort as we think that they should be dedicating to it, then we definitely get upset because we're like, we spend so many hours and so many years playing this game and, developing our characters and our RP and, contributing to real events that shape the world that that we're invested in this and we want somebody else who takes over the reins, we want them to be as invested in this game as we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot, like, and I often make this comparison on the forums, and I get the feeling that there are some people who are annoyed by it, but I'm gonna keep making it. Uh, I would have left the table if this were a D&D game. There's nothing worse than continuing to play a tabletop game with a dungeon master that isn't feeling it anymore. And it was so obvious to me that we unfortunately had a producer who was not, either just didn't like the fallout that happened when people didn't like his decisions, or was just a little bit too nervous to handle it, whichever it was. It's no shame on him. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But it it felt a lot like that, where you're dealing with, like, you're trying to make something happen but it just isn't happening. I'm hoping that this means that Solani get to be more free reign with what they do. I would love to see some god conflict come up. There's kind of something I've noticed brewing in a couple of places. I would like to be able to engage with events, because right now a lot of events feel like it's just, you know, waiting time in between cutscenes, and I'm not
Yeah.
interested in that. If I were interested in that, I'd I'd play a game from early 2000s when all it was QuickTime events. I'm just I'm just not interested in it. So I'm hoping that it leads to a decent amount of events that we can interact with. I admit that I still feel they should have hired a writer, mostly because I want I want somebody who decided they wanted to write for Atolia and not somebody that was just told your job is changing. Um, I know at one point Raz had been the producer and presumably was kind of in charge of handling the way the world events went, but he stepped down for a reason. So to me, it's like, I hope that Raz wanted this change, because you'll be able to tell if he didn't. You'll be able to tell if somebody who doesn't want to be writing the plot for Atolia is now in charge of the plot. And this is, again, nothing against Raz. I think he's a stand-up guy. I think he's great. I've never had any bad thing to say about Razmil the whole time I've played this game. So I just hope it's something that he wanted.
Right.
Like he volunteered for, even if they were like, well, we have to we're gonna do this. Who wants to take over handling the plot and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I just hope it was partially his decision. If not, I still think they need to hire a writer. I still think they would benefit from doing it, but baby steps, I guess.
Yeah, maybe this is like what they've decided to do instead, and if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, maybe they will. You know, they've certainly shown with this that they're willing to do something and listen to us. So that's the way I'm gonna look at it. And I was gonna say the way I looked at it, as far as those of us that have played this game off and on for like 20 years, it's like we all started out when those of us that played that long started out when this game was literally an Achaia clone, right? And then
Yeah.
over time, we've seen all these cool things change with it and happen. So we know that there's potential there. Like there's people that love this game, they can make it better than it was. And then we've seen it repeatedly over time. Like more and more stuff gets added, and we've seen awesome world events in the past. Me and Steve here have worked on those events in the past. Other people that are volunteering now have worked on the events after that. Things have happened, very cool things, and we just go along years and years. And then all of a sudden, though, it seemed like in the past like 2 years, it just hit a brick wall. And that was like really the most frustrating thing to me. It's like I know you all have this in you to do better. Like that's like you've done it before. You've done better before. So it's like something's got to be wrong here, but you don't also want to assume the worst about everyone. It's like we don't know what the problem was because we're not given the information.
And you might also feel this way, Seer, where you have been playing for a while. They did have a writer, a player who played Hearn, as Mati mentions in the chat, was the lore head of Aetolia, and I think that from what I understand, talking with people that I know that have played, some of their favorite events came out of the mind of that writer. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think we're ever going to get that again, because I think that some of that was from the mind of a very gifted writer. And we're never going to get something that has that exact feeling again. But I don't think, I think Raz is a good, provided, again, he wants to do it. I think he was there when she was developing all of this lore that was being created for Atolia. So if anybody can keep us on this cool route we've had with the Albedo gods, it would be him. I think that I think that there's a lot that can be done with the team that we have, particularly if they allow Solani to just go wild. And I wish they would. Just let Solani run an impromptu event. Like, if somebody's been up there long enough, they don't need your express written permission to tell a story. Sometimes the best stories are things that came up to, in an impromptu fashion. Like you went to Al Jazeera after they, torched the place and brought back to the Templar a kid that wouldn't have existed if you hadn't gone looking. Those kinds of things are really cool. But I it I it's I just think that would be very helpful.
Well, I mean, I guess I will say that I don't know. Back when I was up in the pools, with Eric's,
12
uh,
years ago, yeah.
about 12 years ago. Yeah, I don't think we had like a paid writer. And I briefly went up there for about like 6 months, I think, uh, during the start of like the Drakathi and like Drakenmon invasion. And I
Right.
think I might have I designed like a couple areas in Delve, and I think by the time that I was like fully up in the pools was when like and also was had just landed in the cove. Um, and I don't even remember like who all came up with that whole storyline that like basically now led into us having like Albedos and Albedi gods and like all this stuff. But I guess maybe I didn't pay attention at the time, or maybe I didn't ask. Um, but I do remember that one of the things specifically is that when I was running my Selene event, I had asked because you had to run them by Gallius, just to make sure. Well, run them by the producer or whatever, but it was Gallius at the time. Um, and mine was something about having like bandits finding lem orbs or something like that. And I think he initially gave me the okay, and I was like, cool, like let me run with this. But then he had said, like the day of my event, he was like, whoa, you can't do lem orbs, like so like you have certain like freedom to run this event or whatever, like as a Solani, but I guess you got to like make sure that uh you don't run an event in such a way that like that uses lore or uses I don't know, uses resources that can't be applied in other places. Like, for example, I can't, come into Enorian and have an event where, I destroy the grand flame, or or do something to mess with it or something, because that's a big thing, but like on like smaller scale, small fish, yeah, I'm sure that as a Solana you probably have a little bit of creative freedom, in so much that it's, I don't know, approved by somebody who has like a good finger on on the pulse of the Atolian lore, and where the storyline's going. So um I mean, yeah, I never got the impression that Solani, aren't allowed to run events. I mean, I think that they absolutely are, and I'm definitely appreciative for all the events that they do run. Like the Cult of K has been awesome and so frustrating
I
that
wish that we
we,
could interact with it more. Is I guess my concern with the cult today.
yeah, I
I
mean,
wish
it's
we could
like you get these little
engage with it more.
breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's like, it's what do you do? Because like on one hand, like as a player, when this figure is running through a Norian who has clearly just murdered a whole bunch of guards, and then they suddenly get mob possessed, and you're like, as a player, you want to kind of like, we're so starved for RP that you really want to get more events, or more divine interaction out of this, like
Anything.
this mob or whatever. But
Yeah.
like from a character perspective, it doesn't make sense to leave this person alive. Like
Yeah, I claimed that.
Rasani and Sran like should murder this person, but
Right.
We
and
did
it was so,
eventually.
frustrating to explain that to Rasani, and she's like, oh, you guys found the figure? Did you kill it? And we're like, well,
Well, no, we talked
what
because
had
we were
happened
starved
was,
for interaction. Yeah.
right? We talked with it for a little bit, and then he ran off. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, that I think is a huge part of it, is and something that we don't really discuss as a community. I think is um we're all starved for P to the point that you will event like so on the topic of Solani not being stopped from doing anything. If they don't have the desire to do something, regardless of I totally agree with Monty. It might be a fact that they were just kind of, smothered underneath other expectations. My understanding is that sometimes Solani would have to go in and fix code that our producer had broke or something like that. But if a Solani doesn't have the desire to run events, I'm sorry, but they need to be removed. If they don't have the desire to do it anymore, they shouldn't be sitting up there.
Well, there are
Like
some Solani that only do code stuff. Like I've met those kinds of people, and they're
absolutely,
valuable
that's
too.
a different beast. That's a totally different beast because you apply to be a code Solani. But if there are story Solani who went up there with the express purpose of controlling a god,
Right.
and then they're not doing anything with that, that's something that needs to be resolved. Because we're getting to the point I've noticed where people are so starved for RP that they almost try to hoard it. That becomes a resource that they want to hang on to.
Right.
Um, and that unfortunately ends up being bad for the game because we get these, there's story bits out everywhere, but sometimes there, well, you know, you can't, you know, you can't get involved with this because you're not in Anorian, or you're not in the Archivists, or you're not, following Ome, or you're not, licking Bamathis' boots, whatever it is. There's different. It's because everybody's so hungry for it that it feels like they're worried about anybody else getting involved. Like that event with the big snake. I entered that room only to be told by 5 different people in tells that I had to keep my mouth shut.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
you're finally getting
super
events.
weird.
Very weird, and I don't understand why
Like I
we're
remember
doing
that's like one of the main reasons why I didn't go attend the Revenant release event in Spines Reach, because, I just kind of got the vibe that, like, a Templar probably shouldn't show up there, even though, like, it's a big global event, and you'd think that, with the release of like these new, knights that are basically mirrored to like my class and my
Right.
guild, that, that I'd want to be there. But and actually I got like an OOC tell during the Warden release when I showed up to that, and there were a couple like phase, Sisson, like from Spines region, there. And you also can't see mob emotes while you're phased. So it
Hmm.
just like you can see player stuff, but you can't see like mob possessed stuff, which is weird. I don't know if there's a way to fix that,
That
but
might be a bug.
so, and I noticed that, and I sent a message to, I want to say it was like Worthina and like Suramis and like maybe another person. I was like, hey, you guys can like unphase, like, I'm not gonna like kick anybody out. Like I'm not gonna try and gatekeep this event. Like if you guys want to like show up and watch this, like go for it. And I think one of them like actually like uh sent me an OOC tell like, hey, thanks for being like super stand up about this and not like trying to gatekeep it. I'm like, that's just ridiculous that anybody would. Like we're all here for the same reason playing this game. We all want RP, we all want to interact, you know, just because this event happens to be geared towards the Sentinels or towards Spirit Tether or whatever. It doesn't mean that it is our event, like
and
we're
I
all
think
kind of here, we can all participate in this.
absolutely. I think if we were having more, like, because I remember joining uh the game, and then there was an event that was very strictly like, okay, this is a Templar event. But at the time, there were constant major events happening in Atolia. So like when you have that sort of thing happen, like our event that was just Templar event was when we got the Sword of Savelli. It was just a small little thing where, they came up, they bestowed Yonda's cloak and the sword to us, and we had this. It was a small event just for the guild. That's totally fine. But if we had had something like that now, where people are so starved for any kind of interaction from the admin, any kind of events, any kind of role play, there's no way we could have had that event because everybody would have shown up. Because of course they would have. People are starved, and I totally understand it. I just think it would be until we have such a time when we have enough main events where people aren't starved for interaction. I think it would be a good thing for the community to remember, hey, we're all kind of trying to make it through this dry spell while the game gets fixed. Let's not, keep people out of these little crumbs of interaction that we managed to get.
Well, I mean, I think that it's worth noting that, I don't know, maybe the underlying tone here is that, if there's like an event like geared towards the Templar, that the concern is that you have people. I mean, everybody wants to be the hero, like
Right.
nobody
Oh yeah,
wants to be, just sat on the sidelines. And I think that the concern, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that I think the concern is that if other people join in this event that aren't specifically like all on the same page of like, hey, this is where this event is going, they worry that other people are going to come in and just try to like just scoop it all up and make it all about themselves, which like the 200 events, like that is absolutely 100% about Mazian or
right.
or
Yeah,
Illidan or
Ryan
whoever
or
is going to
whomever.
eventually get their
Yeah,
events, soon TM. But like those events are specifically for that person, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like your birthday or it's like your 21st. That is your day. You have a blast, you
absolutely.
do whatever you want. You want to show up naked, you fucking go for it. Like, but if it's like a global event, I think that if it's like specifically designed to be in like the direction of an organization or like a tether or something, that's not really so much like on the players to kind of like, I don't know, to steer that. That's more like the divine. That if somebody wants to come in and try and be a nuisance, like you could either like, I don't know, try to steer it that way through like mob emotes or god emotes or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. That's not really on the players to have to be like, oh well, we're just going to exclude this person because they might steer this in a
Oh,
direction
I
we
agree.
don't
Yeah.
want to go. So like that's not. I don't know. As a
God should
customer, I shouldn't have to worry about what other customers are going to do.
I this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think God should be less afraid of just smiting somebody. I was talking mad shit about Bamathis the other day, just openly and freely. He should have killed me. Like just I think that there's probably some rule for Solani so that people don't start feeling targeted by a god. But if somebody comes in and ruins your event or like is talking mad shit, you just go right ahead and kill somebody. Like, just go right ahead and do it. I remember seeing Ethne one time literally just like come down with a hammer and splat somebody entirely across the temple. Just do more of that shit.
I
Just
mean,
kill
I
somebody
wonder
once in a
like
while.
what character has probably been like smited more. And in recent history, I want to say it was probably Iastia. Got smited like just a shitload by Ome.
Iastia
Like
did
she
get
must. I think
smited a
she dropped
lot.
like a whole level. She must have gone from like 103 down to like level 102, which is like pretty small experience. Like once you start to get up there, but still losing a whole level to like God smites. Because I want to say that the XP loss is cumulative in that like the more you get smote by a god, like the more XP you lose. So I'm not
Brutal.
sure. I'd have to ask her about that. But like, yeah, she definitely.
I suppose there's also like there is a long history, and this is a little off topic, but I get their hesitancy because there is a long history of characters RPing being pregnant, running their mouth, and then a god smites them, and they like go off about how they lost the baby, even though they died 10 times at a lesser. Like, come on, knock it off. You were running your mouth. So like you don't get to then be like I was pregnant, how dare you? Like you ran your fucking mouth. A god
Wow.
killed you.
Yeah.
Really hitting him with that Pantheon Plan B.
Oh no. Oh no, you did not just say that.
Abortion
Quality
rights.
content here on the
Uh,
I
weekly
said
milestone.
abortion rights.
Oh man.
Oh goodness. Yeah, so I think the correspondence, unless anything
Mm.
else comes up, is done with Jeremy and them. I figure I'll give it, 6 months, something like that. If I feel like the writing is still suffering, then I will probably see if people want to sign on another letter. However, I have I am pretty optimistic. Even just seeing how many people came from Achaia because this one guy left Achaia to go to Atolia, like I think that speaks a lot, and I'm looking forward to whatever it is that he brings to the table.
Yep. I told you all on our Discord, but I'm gonna tell everybody here that I did message him in game, and he did respond already about maybe him coming on here at some point and introducing himself. Um, I didn't expect to hear back that quickly, for one thing. Also, he didn't say no, but he said basically that he'll think about it, and that there's all kinds of chaos going on with him right now due to all this, understandably.
oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
I think I get the feeling that he wouldn't be opposed to it. But I do still think it would be more important for him and all of us to focus on the in game town halls or whatever. Um, but I think it's more likely we'll see him come on than we did tier. So that I'm looking forward to that. And also it's possible that in the future we might be able to get somebody else on too. I'll say that. I haven't really talked about that with you guys yet, so. But yeah, it should be interesting. Also, one more thing I want to say before we get back into it. If anybody's watching this and has not followed, please follow the stream so we can try to get to 50 followers. I would really appreciate it. All right, back to it, you guys. Sorry about that.
I mean, one of the things that I saw, like about the announce post or whatever, was that this new producer apparently, like, also, used to play Atolia. I think he said like back in 2010 or
Hmm.
2012 or something like that. And I know that we, I think over the last couple weeks, we also talked about like that being like a primary concern with like having like a new producer, is that it's kind of a double-edged sword, that if you have them come from like a different game or whatever, that they may not, I don't know, they may not have enough like knowledge of like what Atolia is supposed to be or where it's supposed to go. But then you also have, on the other hand, somebody who has played Atolia or whatever, and they might, come with their own, set of baggage, like a former player, becoming like producer or whatever. So, I mean, I guess we kind of lucked out that we have, Razmail, who doesn't really have that much baggage, because it's been so long that most people forgot about him.
Yeah,
That was a joke.
I uh I think that this is absolutely the best situation that we could have. Somebody that has been a player of Atolia, and then is also now moving into the position of leading Atolia. I think that not only that, but it seems like he's actively paying attention to the game as it runs. Um, so it definitely is. It definitely is. It seems like the best situation that we could hope for. Somebody who isn't going to come in with a bunch of baggage. We're not going to have. I don't know who's somebody I can rag on. I I don't know. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So we're not gonna have somebody come in who might have beef with somebody and then is gonna go out of their way to screw over that guild or org or whatever. But they also still understand the theme of the story that's going on here. I'm optimistic that he's already paying attention to the point that Eric's already got a reply, even though he's probably getting, dozens of
Yeah,
messages every minute.
emails, messages. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, we're not gonna have Eliodon just decide that the big bad evil guy is a single huge fire. Just one huge tornado of flame that nobody can beat and eventually consumes the game from the inside out. But it I admit that there's a little bit of concern, or I guess there would be. He seems very interested in learning what Atolia has become, because my understanding is that there's some stuff from Atolia in the before times uh, that some people would rather just be left there.
Hmm.
I didn't play then. This was
Go
you know
evil pens. Yep, I totally
PRE
agree with you.
before Rasani era. So I have no idea what it is. Um, but uh, I'm pretty optimistic that he's going to pay attention to what the game itself is actually doing now. And I do hope that town hall, holy shit,
Oh
I sounded
boy.
so Maynard right there. This town hall, uh, I am optimistic that he will ask what players want to see. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think that there's no need for Solani or producers or any other admin to come in and ask the community directly what kind of shit they want to see. I think that that would be a strength to the game, frankly, and I hope that it's something he considers for the town hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, in the year that I've been back, I don't think Tira's held a town hall.
There was one.
So, I mean, I,
Uh,
I came back last July, so I might have missed one, or like, but I'm just,
there was one, and then there's the one for that cure event that was a disaster. I maintain
yeah,
that it was
that's right.
a
Okay.
disastrous decision to do in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic. To go, here you go. Here's a highly transferable curse. Like, it was just bad timing, I think.
Yeah, I will also say to Tier's credit that he did actually do a Q&A on the previous version of this show. When it was just a podcast, he came on and did a Q&A. And I will say back then, not many people decided to get involved. There was like one person who emailed a question, who was actually Seremus, who was in chat. And yeah, we kind of made up a lot of our own questions for him, but he was really nice to talk to. I really enjoyed him as a person. It was weird, always weird to me because you had this really cool person that I was talking to, and like he did all these cool things initially, and then it just like stopped, you know? And it's like, man, like if someone that is that nice and cool and stuff can like just stop, then like, I don't know, like it always felt bad for me. Like I said before, I had hoped that he wouldn't get fired over it, but it is what it is. I think sometimes in all aspects of these games, you do have to kind of step aside or have somebody new put in. It's like that in the leadership of the games too, like with the guilds and cities. Sometimes you just need a fresh perspective. It is what it
I
is.
I think it was just not the kind of game that he was ready for. He came from a game with a fairly different culture than ours. And yes, burnout could also totally be a thing, but I think I I, I I will go on record as saying that the the quality dropped the moment Tior was left on his own. So you can't blame burnout for his first year alone because he had a year or so where he had somebody else backing him up. I will say now, I am absolutely sure he was burnt out. And but to also to speak to that is I think that the biggest problem to take that I have with that is I totally understand having burnout, but I don't I think he would have had less burnout if he had just listened to what people were saying to him. And I know he wasn't listening because I'd had private conversations with him multiple times, and he was not listening really. It just always circled back to it totally is more profitable than it's ever been. And I think that it just I get the feeling that he misunderstood the job of the producer here. And it's already been said, and maybe it's probably just some corporate line, but it's good thing about corporate lines is that you then get to hold the company to them. Is that, you know, they've now set the corporate line that the job of the producer is to make sure that the game is fun and engaging. So now when you get the my only job is to make money for the game, we can point back to this and go, no, you've admitted that the point of your job, what you get paid for, is to come here and make the game enjoyable for the people who are playing. And to Atolia, that involves, events, RP, an engaging story that we can follow um, as we play. To other games, perhaps even the game that Tior came from, that might not be the case. They might just want an MMO experience where they buy shit with credits, or they fight huge monsters that take a bunch of time to do. And sure, we've got a lot of people who like combat and bashing, but I mean, we've kind of proven that what people want is an engaging storyline. So even if this all reads as corporate platitudes to some folks, which I'm sure it does, and I've learned through my own, private work that yeah, it tends to be. But the good thing about corporate platitudes is that you then get to hold them up and say, "You said this shit." So now I, as your consumer, get to hold you to it. And I think that that's a very important thing for us to do. Now, I also think that it's very important for us to approach this new producer, um, remembering that he's new. He's not the one who did a ruling that Tior did that you didn't like. So don't enter it going, well, Tior fucked me over, so I want you to fix it. Like
Right.
you have to act
Yeah,
like
for
it's
sure.
adult.
So I wanted to jump in and say another thing here.
Sure.
I didn't want Rosani or Steve to die of shock before we go ahead and do this, but Jeremy's actually interested in coming in right now on voice chat with us. If
Oh,
Oh, yeah, sure.
would
That's
you
sure,
fine.
by all means.
So I don't have a picture for him yet, but I'll work on that as he's talking.
We're about to get scolded.
I don't think we're gonna get scolded. I know, Jeremy. We're not gonna get scolded.
Fine. You're fine. It's me and
Give me a sec.
No.
I'm actually deleting. I'm deleting these nipple rings right now. Just oh,
yeah,
shit.
we're in trouble. He's got nipple rings. Like, we're done.
Right.
No.
Let's see what the chat.
I didn't want him to just.
Their parents are coming home, so you're just trying to make sure that
I'm gonna go make a shirt for Rasani immediately.
I didn't want him to literally just come in and scare the shit out of you all. So
I'm scared of nothing and nobody. It's fine.
Nice. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I was talking to myself somewhere else. So.
Me too. It's
nice.
all
How's
good.
it going, guys? Yeah, I kind of heard you talking about like getting scolded, but no, I've listened to most of this, and no, I definitely the honesty is super appreciated. So be as harsh and as honest as you can. That way we can, we try to fix things as much as possible. What's that?
No trouble there. It's the best way to get things done. Is just being open and honest communication is the key to getting anything done. Really.
I agree 100%. Yeah. So I mean, I had another big meeting right in the middle of what you guys were talking about, so I didn't get like to really listen to everything you were talking about. The only misconception I think I kind of heard was about Solani and what we kind of have them do, when they're working in the garden or on whatever game it is, right? That we just had like, kind of what their duties are. There's coding Solani, there's RP Solani, there's all these types of things. We do have Solani that come in, obviously, and apply for coding positions and just want to do coding, and we have a bunch of them, right? But for a lot of Solani, we have them come in, and I think a couple of you, obviously, a couple of you. Sorry, I'm losing my mind on names here. Andrew, God,
yes,
sorry, man.
It's okay.
I totally lost your name for a second. Worked for us for a while. When new Solani come in, we try to really filter them down into things that they're really good at. So some Solani love possessing mobs and working and talking with players and interacting with them that way. Some Solani just really like building areas and are really good at that. Some are really good at running events. So we kind of like try to really let them focus on those things a little bit, versus just being like you have to only do RP or you have to only do building or something like that. And yeah, I mean, that's something that we really want, obviously, Sam to work with the current volunteers on Atolia right now, because it looks like you guys have a lot of really, really good volunteers.
We have a ton of great volunteers.
Yeah, and it looks like you just got a new batch, and that's one of the things that Mike Raz was telling me, just like you guys have some really good ones right now. And so one of the main things that Sam is going to do is just like really clear the way for them so they don't have to work on issues or looking at, people's customizations or, going through org requests or any of those things, right? They can just focus on what they want to do. And if that's possessing some mobs and doing some RP with you guys, fantastic. If that's helping plan some events, fantastic, So that's the main thing. Because obviously, I mean, Sam played Atolia, but he doesn't know modern history really well.
Right.
So there's no point in him running an event. It would just be a mess and you guys would hate him. So the plan there is really that he will clear the way for the people who really know what they're doing in that respect and give them more opportunities to do that type of stuff. And just clear a lot of the red tape too, right? So they're not having to like, put in a proposal, wait 6 months to hear back on it before they can even start doing anything. And by then they've gotten bored and want to do something else, right? It'll be, hey, what do you want to do? This is what I want to do. Okay, go do it, right away, versus a long waiting period. So hopefully all of that will improve quite a bit. Anyways,
really
that was
great.
the one thing that kind of jumped to my head.
Yeah, that sounds really excellent. I did, since you're here,
Yeah.
and we had talked a little bit earlier in the stream. We, my understanding is that he's going to focus a little bit more on that face-to-face customer stuff that doesn't, so the Solani aren't bogged down by it, like you said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I've also got the understanding that Raz is sort of helping with that. And I joined actually when Raz was the producer, so I think he's
Mhm.
spectacular. I think he's a great guy.
Exactly.
Um, I did when we reached out to you, the hope was that we would get somebody added to the the admin, I suppose, that their entire goal was to, control the lore, to develop a plot going forward. And I'm wondering if this is you guys are going to see how this works out, and then if there's more that needs to be done, consider that, or if that's just something that for whatever reason is off the table entirely, because when I joined, they sort of had somebody dedicated to taking care of the lore, and uh that really seemed to impact the way that events and things were run. So I'm just a little bit curious as to why you guys. Well, I won't say that because I know that there were other issues that had cropped up with the former producer. But
Right.
I'm wondering if there's a reason that you guys went this way, in other than that, instead of a different route.
Right. So, yes. And obviously, I definitely heard your concern when you guys were voicing the whole wanting us to hire a full-time story producer, um, which uh, is something I wish we could do on all the games, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, uh, the reason we the main reason we didn't go that way was there's a couple big reasons. Two, we have two coders on the game that we're paying already. Uh, we were having and I don't want to bad talk anyone at all, so I'm just gonna be as vague as possible.
Certainly,
Um,
totally understand.
but we needed to make a change to the producer, so we needed to put in place someone that could manage all the irons that are in the fire, and it's a pretty hard position to replace, right? We've tried it in multiple different ways on Iron Realms games, from hiring outside people to hiring, people in the game that kind of know what's going on, to moving people around. But there's so many things as like a mud producer that you have to know. Even hiring a producer from another game is almost impossible, right? Because muds are such a unique thing. Like we can't go and hire someone
Right.
from World of Warcraft to manage a mud because they're so complicated and it's such a different interface for people. Um, so we needed to find someone that could fill in this producer role. And I think that was more important than finding a story only person at this point, uh, because we needed to change the producer.
Certainly.
Um, but we needed someone that could, you know, manage all the volunteers, who could understand issues, who could, take care of customizations, that could prog, that could, I could go on forever. There's just such a massive amount of things that go on in a mud, right? Um, and know all the rules and how building works, and yeah. Uh, so for us, it was a bigger priority to find someone that could do all these things, and then hopefully that will free up other people to do the things you guys are really looking for, which is story. It should instantly happen with small time stuff, and hopefully some stuff will get started this week. I'm not sure if that will happen, because right now Sam is just getting bombarded with stuff,
Right.
right?
Of course.
Um, like I fear for his eyeballs today because you know what I mean? Like when this text just streaming from, like, Discord and in the game and
Yeah.
nonstop questions, like your
Emails.
eyeballs are done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he'll probably do those town hall meetings, and then you should instantly start seeing at least some small stuff on there. And I mean, this obviously wasn't a small choice decision. Like we've
For
spent
sure.
a few days like talking about this, and I've been working with Mike and Luke, or Raz and Kirok, um, making sure that they're going to be really happy with this, um, and that we we were very well aware that your main problem, what you really wanted, was more story and more lore and more events. And so that was
That's
our main concern as we went into this, was like, how can we make that happen, right? Um, we still want Mike and Luke to code because they're good at it, and they know the game and they know the mechanics, right? And they know how to do things. So ultimately, what we want Mike to do, and everyone else, all the other volunteers and stuff that know the story really well, is to help guide, what the event is going to be and doing like the big overall picture stuff. And then Sam can come in, and Sam is like the type of guy that will sit down and write messages for like 6 days straight. And which I don't know if you've ever done before. Like when we write skill messages and that type of stuff, it is painful. Uh, After about 3 or 4 of them, you're like, oh my God, I can't, I have lost all creativity and my eyeballs don't work anymore. Um, he's the type of guy that will sit down and do that and plan it, uh, and write all those messages. So he's the type of guy who's going to get some direction from Mike on like, hey, here's the type of event we should do. Here's the lore surrounding it. He'll sit down and write the whole thing out, and then in a couple of days, and then hand it back to Mike, and Mike can go, no, this is horrible. This is never going to work. Or this is great. Let's move forward with this and change these 3 things, right? Um, so the big thing that Sam's gonna be able to do is take away all those like tasks, uh, the small things that have to be done for setting up events and getting things going, and be able to leave a lot of the bigger picture stuff to, the people who know the lore and stuff better. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm babbling a little bit, but yeah.
No, I
Does
get
that,
it.
does that help
Yeah,
your
that
answer
makes
your
sense.
question? Yeah.
yeah.
And then over time, he's going to obviously learn things better. And like he's been going through your forums and all of your history and reading all your posts for, a few days now. And he's the type of guy that's going to sit down and do every single one. He's going to read every single post, go through every single area, go through all the different mobs and learn all that type of stuff. He's kind of ridiculous.
It's I gathered that he was going to be a good, well, you know, I thought he would be a good choice the minute that I started seeing people in the Atolia Discord popping
Yeah.
up from Achaia to follow him here. I think
Yeah.
that speaks quite well to the impact that he had on their game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he is able to get done over here.
Yeah. Yeah. What I mean, and I when I first approached the Achaia producer, Nicola, about doing this, I thought she was going to kill me because he, I mean, Nicola is probably the best producer that we've ever had on any of our games in terms of her ability to organize and keep people motivated and keep things going. Oh, look at she's in our little chat now. She wants to kill me in the chat, but um, yeah, but like I was saying, Nick is probably the best producer we've ever had, and like Sam is right at the same level, probably from working with her more than anything else. So like yeah, I'm really expecting this to be like a 180 for where things were at.
I'll
What you were used to and where things are at. So
I'll pull the About Us page that you have up on Iron Realm so everybody can see both of them at the same time while we're talking.
oh yeah, I have not changed that at all yet. So in fact, like I actually kind of worried for poor Ikea because their productivity will probably come down because I just took away half their ninja team.
I'm sure they will find a way, or you know, we'll deal with getting absolutely bombarded and slain by the producer of Achaia.
Yeah,
One way or the other, it'll figure itself out.
it'll be fantastic. Atolia totally wins in this, I think. So yeah, and this is, like I said, this is. I mean, we got your email and your petition, and I heard you talking about this a little bit earlier too. Um, and that was really nice to see that you guys were united and you turned over those you got so many people behind you so quick. And I mentioned this when I emailed you back. This has been something we've been needing to do for a while, and uh, yeah. Again, I'm trying to be pretty vague
Right.
here, but
Sure.
it's something we've needed to do for a while. So it was very good timing, and we actually had a few other emails that all come in kind of at the same time for different things, for different reasons, and so it was kind of a coincidence that it happened like this, but it was nice to, you know, hopefully this will be really good for you guys and it'll keep you nice and happy.
Yeah, I think it's we've already got people who are talking about coming back to see what happens.
Yeah,
People who haven't played in some time, at least being like, well, I'm at least going to come in for the town hall to see what
yeah,
happens and what's going to
yeah,
change. I
yeah,
think it will see some of our, because we have unfortunately lost some particularly good players in all of this because they joined to tell a story and there just hasn't been one for a very long time. So I
yeah,
was very pleased that you guys got back to us. I was very pleased that you guys were so willing to to be open, and I am actually very pleased that you were so willing to come in here and talk with us about it because it the big thing I never wanted to feel like was it was like, oh, it's just Rasani talking to Jeremy and Matt. It's like,
yeah.
no, it's all of us. We're all
Oh
talking.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
being open and public is a big
yeah,
A plus for me.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, from my side, it's hard for us to, because I mean, we get emails like the one you sent, occasionally, not very often, but um, it's hard for us to, from our side of things, to really like, throw people under the bus,
Right.
um, give too many details about what's going on because, there's real people out there and we don't hurt their feelings and what am I trying to say with that? We got to be careful with how we respond to emails,
Of course, yeah.
regarding, people's productivity in games. So, yeah, but yeah, I do. But that said, so I mean, so sometimes that's what I was going to get at. So sometimes our replies to those emails are pretty vague, or like, "Hey, thank you for the response," like, or "Thank you for the email," we're taking this in consideration. But I don't want you to think that like we are not taking it in consideration. We just dump those things in the garbage, right? They're hard to respond to, but we definitely read them all. If it just comes to me, I usually immediately send it to Matt, and if it's appropriate to the producer involved, uh, to make sure that they understand, like, look, we're having a problem here, like, and even if it's not a real problem, because sometimes we get those emails, um, it's a perceived problem, right? So if somebody's thinking this, there's 10 other people that are thinking it and not saying something, and we either need to address it or make some changes or something like that. So don't feel like you can't send us emails, or don't think that we're being super dismissive. We're definitely taking everything into consideration.
It's good to know.
Yeah,
I think that'll put a lot of people's minds at ease. I
yeah,
know there were a lot of people who were hesitant to sign this particular letter because they felt like things that they were sending were being ignored, and it's one of those things where we don't see what's happening behind the scenes. We only see what happens in the game that we're playing, and
yeah,
unfortunately, just things didn't change. So it's good to
yeah.
know that when we send you guys something, just because we don't see the conversation happening,
Right.
the conversation still does happen.
Yeah, yeah. And I can guarantee, like every email that's been sent to me, especially that stuff, like especially over the last couple of years, has definitely been talked about, discussed, forwarded, brought up many times. So definitely don't feel like you should not be sending them.
So,
Nice.
Sweet, awesome.
Yeah. I had something else I was going to mention that I heard about it. Oh, monetization. Uh, I've heard mentioned. Uh, I just kind of wanted to dispel a couple myths, like that. Uh, I think this got perpetuated a little bit. That making money is, or that promotions are the number one concern and have to be done every month. And I don't care, we don't care what else happens. Like if that promo is not out, then, I don't want to see skills. I don't want to see any, events going on, any of that other type of stuff. And that's definitely, and I think I kind of mentioned that in my post. That's definitely not what we're thinking, right? Um, Obviously we need to do promotions. We need to make sure that our people can be, paid to do their job. So the reason we can have Mike and Karok and all these other people and pay for the servers is because we do these promotions and stuff. But we super understand, like, if there's not fun stuff happening in the game, why would you buy anything, right?
Right.
Uh, yeah. So I know there's been some talk like, Atolia was super, profitable. It's the most profitable it's ever been. Uh, that type of stuff. And that's somewhat true. Again, uh, and then all we care about is promotions and that type of stuff. Yeah, that's a little misleading, I think. So I would just like to be clear on that. Obviously, we need to make money,
Right.
but obviously that's impossible if you guys aren't having a good time and enjoying the game, right? And that doesn't come from buying stuff from us. That comes from having, interesting content in the game for you.
Right.
Certainly.
Right.
I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
Yeah, and so that's definitely in fact one of the conversations Sam and I and Raz and Karak had was like we're not even gonna worry about promotions for the next 2 or 3 months on Atolia, right? I mean, they'll switch something at the end of this month, so there's something different each month. But like I said, don't worry about making new stuff. Don't worry about any of that kind of stuff. Let's just like improve some of this player goodwill that we've lost. Let's make sure that all these new projects we want to get going are going and smooth, and definitely make sure RP and events are going. Uh, that's the direction we're taking here initially, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully that will repair some of that idea of driving promotions down your throat.
I think that at the very least for me makes me rather excited and makes me
Okay.
very hopeful for the game going forward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like I want to say one thing about that because I did post on the forums about that. It's like, I did say it seems like when things are going the way they have been, it feels like that they're just trying to farm our wallet. And I will say that that's how it feels when things are going, but I don't think that that's like I know Jeremy, I know you're
Yeah.
not that kind of person. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier when Jeremy wasn't on here yet. It's like we've seen how good Aetolia can be, and whenever we see it in a really good state, we all feel better about spending money on it. That's just the way it is, like, and it's like you shouldn't be like, oh, I should take advantage of this promo just because it's a good deal. You should be like, I want to buy this to support this game because it's been really badass lately, like, and it sounds like we're gonna get back to that, and that's really exciting, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just going back to any type of business with the perceived value, like as a customer that that not only are you getting say salvage or something like that, but you realize that hey I'm gonna spend some money and here's the things that they're doing with it, like running events or they're
Right.
being active, not just like a simple cash grab, which I think goes a long way, so. And I think that once we get back to increasing that perceived value, like from a customer's perspective, that you'll definitely see like an increase in like people coming back, or new players starting to join the game and stuff like that. So
We've already had a few from Ikea make a character to particularly to follow Sam, but
Yeah.
I think that can only mean good things. If other people will tell people to come join this game if they think they're getting something worthwhile out of it.
oh
And
yeah, for sure.
unfortunately, for a long time, like I haven't invited any friends to come try Atolia because I'm like, there's nothing going on. They're gonna think I'm crazy for sitting here doing nothing. But now I'm like, well, let's see in 4 or 5 months where I stand on whether or not I would invite people to come and try Atolia.
Yeah, right. I'm with you. One thing I will mention is, and one thing I was actually super concerned about is that people think that like, okay, here's a new producer. By the end of the week, there's going to be RP events going, right? And I'm really hoping they'll have something smaller stuff going here the next week or two. But I imagine it'll still be, big events take a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of coding,
Oh
just
yeah,
making the mobs for it. So I'm
people have got to have
obviously.
realistic expectations.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I'm just concerned that and so I'm just going to say it here, is that people are expecting something overnight, some big event's going to suddenly start next week. And obviously that's just not possible, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I just want to get that out.
Certainly, yeah. Thank you very
Nice.
much for speaking with us. This
Yeah,
was, I think, a very enlightening conversation.
nice. Yeah. Do you guys have
Yeah.
any questions for me?
Yeah, anybody in chat have any questions for Jeremy? I'll read them off to
Yeah.
him. I don't know if you have chat pulled up, Jeremy, but I can read it off to you
Yeah,
if
I
you want.
see it. Yeah,
Okay,
pulled.
cool.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff on my screen right
Right,
now, but
right.
yeah, if you plus if you were gonna put this on YouTube or something, you should just read them anyways.
Oh, okay, that's true. Look at you,
Yeah,
look at you producing me, like telling me how to do
yeah.
producing.
I used to do these. We should probably do them more, but
Yeah, I
it's
was
so much
telling
work.
you that I loved watching you and Gallius back in the day. You do the U streams back in the day.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Ustream doesn't exist anymore. I
I
think that's
know.
probably why we got away from it. But yeah.
Yeah, that was back when Twitch was Justin TV or whatever. Just
Oh yeah, yeah.
MTV.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Word.
Got him old.
Me too, buddy. But yeah, I mean, if nobody has any questions for Jeremy, we could probably let him get out of here. Like he's probably got a million things he's doing.
Sorry.
This is my main thing today. Trust me. Like this answering
It's a
Atolia
big
questions.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw your stream going. I'm like, I'm gonna go check that out. So yeah.
Well, how do you? Here's a question from me. How do you feel about this stream? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it? Because like I know when we worked together, I had thrown it up as like a thing I wanted to do back then for Empyrean, and
Yeah.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, probably wouldn't work." But like, and I'm not trying to gloat. I'm just saying like how like now that I've set something up for Ayatollah. Like, do you think it's a good thing or I mean?
Oh no, I totally think it's a good thing. I mean, one of the things we've tried to do is figure out a way to get like people to play our games on Twitch a little bit more to get some,
Right.
to get some advertising and marketing. But you know, it's pretty hard to get people to sit and watch
Right.
text
Right.
Yeah.
you know
Sorry.
what I mean. It's not super it's not super easy to do on Twitch. But so I mean, this kind of stuff's awesome. I wish we had 10 of these, but yeah, I'm happy that you're the guy doing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just like to like I told you before, I think when we all just DM each other in text, it's real easy to sound like a jerk. But when you're actually talking, like with your voice and your
Oh
tone of
yeah,
voice, it's a lot easier to be like, okay, this person's not being a jerk. They're just like wanting to talk about, improving the thing that they love, Like that's the way
yeah.
I feel about it. I don't know.
No, yeah, I'm 100% with you. 100% with you.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I'd like to keep it going forever. I did a podcast, last time, and I think it only went for a few months, but I'd like to at least try to, keep this stream going until the end of the year, see where it goes.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, right? For something like this, is just like consistency,
Yeah,
and
and
it's hard. Like the first two or three are super excited, and then
yeah,
then
the
you
well, the
got to fight
last
through it.
time, the last time that kind of circles around to what we've been talking about whole stream. The last time I did it, it was becoming hard to do a podcast when there wasn't much going on, like it became
Oh yeah,
well, it became like, well, let's talk about my opinions on things today, and like, who wants to just listen to me talk about my opinions,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but
No, this
now,
is probably more interesting. Yeah,
I mean, and anybody can come in when they want. Like I said, I've always said this too. Anybody can come in. Any Solani, any producer, Matt, whoever the hell wants to come in
yeah.
and talk can come in. And I usually add them. There's very few people that I would reject to come in. And
Okay.
but yeah, yeah,
Nice,
I don't know.
nice. Yeah,
It's been a lot
yeah.
of
No, it's
fun.
awesome. Yeah, invite me back anytime. It's cool. I mean, obviously, I can't do it every time, but
Right,
yeah,
right, right. Yeah.
yeah,
Anytime you want to come and talk Atolia or Iron Realms or anything, you just
yeah.
DM me and we'll do it. So
Sure, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, and if you have
Sweet.
something coming up, just hit me a message.
okay. Oh, somebody followed us. MJ or
Yay!
Carcass. Thanks for the follow.
Nice.
We just need about 20 more follows and we can get affiliate.
Yay!
Yep. Yep. We've been
Well,
doing credit giveaways and I want to have that be self-sustaining eventually. That's my goal.
no, that's cool. That's cool.
But yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead.
We're gonna try to do a. Well, we might not be able to put it in the next newsletter, but the newsletter after that, let me know, and I'll make sure we drop a link in there for it.
Okay, cool.
Shoot me a DM with like all the info, and I'll try to get it in the next newsletter.
Okay, man. Thank you very
Sweet.
much.
Yeah, cool.
And we'll see you next time.
Sweet, yeah. All right, guys.
Thanks for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
You too.
Thanks, you too, man.
Okay, bye.
All right. I think Jeremy's still on here with us for the moment. There he goes. Okay, cool.
There he is.
Okay. So, you guys want to be done for the day, or do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I don't know. I mean, I think that was a pretty good. I don't know, a good note to leave things off on, unless somebody else has something else they wanna say.
Yeah, no, I think that was good. I mean, we could talk in hours, circles for hours about what Atolia needs, but
Yeah.
until Sam has had more time to get his bearings and we see what he does, it's premature to act like nothing changed from all of this. So I'm quite pleased with the outcome.
Yeah. Zavin, I believe that's you in the chat. The VOD will automatically be up on the Twitch channel, but also I've always been uploading all of them to YouTube as well, because apparently VODs only stay on Twitch for 2 weeks and then they get deleted. So I've been keeping an archive of them on YouTube under the Ankarian Archives channel. And yeah, everything will be up on YouTube.
Sounds good.
Oh, looks like Jeremy just followed us. Thanks, Jeremy, for the follow. But yeah, sorry about the weirdness near the end here. My throat's still hurting, and yeah, this has all been very impromptu, and that's what I like about the show. I didn't mean to scare anyone with him coming in like that, but he,
not at all. That was fine.
he offered, and I thought it would be good. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Scanlan would like to know about chastity belts for Templars. Well, buddy, you've already designed a shield for the Templars, so you could probably get somebody else to design a chastity belt just for you.
Won't be me. Real knights fuck.
All right then.
Jesus Christ, Rosani.
What a note to end on. All right. God.
All right,
Right.
that's a great note to end on. All right, we're done.
Perfect.
All right, we'll see you all next. Unless, okay, so here's the plan.
Yeah, you got Eric's all flustered.
It's just that was so random.
Oh,
no, I want to make note that if Sam happens to randomly want to come on between now and Saturday, we will do another impromptu. Or if something crazy happens that needs to be covered, we'll do another one. Otherwise, we'll be back this coming Saturday, and we'll cover anything we need to cover. We also want to talk about class leads, because all of those got dropped. So we will look forward to that on Saturday. It's wholly in drama channel. No. We don't want drama.
You get me stoned enough, I'll talk about pretty much anything, but
oh boy.
Not on here. This is a good, wholesome family network.
Right.
I say after I just dropped that bombshell.
I mean,
oh my god.
That's what we're all about, God, you're awful, or something.
I know.
It's hilarious. All right. Let's go ahead and get off here. We'll see you all next time. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.